Hey, what's happening, everybody? We got another NBA show for you today, and I'm gonna jump right into this, man. We're gonna talk about KD and Russell Westbrook to start off. It came out, I guess it was one of the reporters in Oklahoma City said that first he said KD told Russell Westbrook he was gonna stay. Then he had to correct his report and say, well, Russell Westbrook thought KD was gonna stay. So I'm gonna go to Gonzo and get his opinion on this first.
My opinion on this is like honestly, Russell Westbrook should never care what KD thinks anyway, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because you never cared what he thought in those fourth quarters when you were ball hog and making turnovers. So it's like you didn't care at that point. So and don't get me wrong, and I think Russell Westbrook is probably one of the most athletic players in the NBA. He has speed. They say he's a legit 6'4". He's in great shape. He can jump out the gym. He can put up the numbers. But Russell Westbrook has the attack mentality, but he doesn't have a hitman's IQ. You just can't trust the guy in the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. I don't want Russell Westbrook taking my shots in the fourth quarter. I don't want Russell Westbrook really I don't want him touching the ball with the last 2 minutes left. Because he's gonna make a mistake, and maybe he should look in the mirror and realize that maybe it's him who drove KD away. But it's a win-win situation for both. He always wanted to be the alpha dog. Now he gets his opportunity. KD gets his opportunity to win.
All right, Q. Thoughts?
I could care less about this story. Um, people just need to let it go. Everyone wants to, be on Katie or be on Russ Jock. Just let them mans eat. Like the way that Katie wanted to go about his career was simply to be a guy who wanted to win. Didn't matter who he did it with. It was just on his terms. And even if he did say, I'm gonna go resign. DeAndre Jordan told Dallas he was going to sign, and he revoked that too. So there's precedent here, even if that is true. NBA players have a right to change their mind, man. KD's 27, 28. How many of y'all made that decision this very day and then broke that promise? Let's stop acting like KD is, immune to being a human being. Let's stop acting like Russell's immune to being a human being because he has the right to be angry. KD has a right to feel like he can make a choice if he wants to make a choice. I don't care about this story. It's such a clickbait story. Oh, KD told Russ, who cares? Like who cares? He's on Golden State now. Oh, Russ got his wish. So it's like dude said.
All right, Byron.
I would have liked to see it stay together for another year because it was pretty cool series to watch. Them versus the Warriors. Yeah, them versus the Warriors. I thought it was pretty cool. I could see Russ feeling a certain way, but I don't think he's gonna stay. He wanted to stay in Oklahoma City anyway, Also, I might have to agree with Don's to an extent. I think that the guy is incredibly talented and gifted. His work ethic is incredible. He's a freak of nature, man. His athleticism, I think he would excel in any sport. He could, if he wanted to, he could play in the NFL. That's how gifted he is. But the decision making down the stretch has not been good. But I think it's because he wants to win so badly, and he gets impatient. And that's something that's going to come in time. He will mature. I think that the media is trying to build this up to be like a Kobe Shaq rivalry, but it doesn't have the same appeal, and it's not interesting enough for us to tune in based on that rivalry alone. We know that Westbrook is talented enough that he will get a max contract, he will go somewhere that is a contender, and he will excel. He's a great player, and he proved what he was made of when KD went down the previous season. He was outstanding. Hopefully, he won't overexert like Penny did, back in the day when Shaq you know, because I guess he felt all the weight was on his shoulders. But again, I mean, I wish that that Durant would have like been straight up with them, had some more integrity, just for the sake of their friendship. Because if that was like me and Matt, you know, playing on the same team, and he's like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna resign, you know. Not to say that they're as close as we are. You would think they were somewhat close for playing and working out with each other in the off season every year and being on the same team for so long. You would hope not. And if you did that to me, I'd be pissed at you. I would be pissed. So for the sake of their friendship, you know what I mean? But for business wise, like, move on and just do your best. Get yourself in a situation where you can win.
So I was listening to Rick Mahorn talk about this. He was questioning, did KD hoodwink and bamboozle Westbrook? Sid, what do you think?
Well, you know, when it comes to that KD Westbrook situation, let's not forget that you know, KD's decision making in the fourth quarter is no better than Russell Westbrook's. Okay. I've seen him F off some passes, jack up shots, go 0 for 10 the last few minutes. And I see an upward trend with Westbrook. KD seems to have somewhat plateaued in his development as a player. I mean, he was as good. He's great, but he was great 4 years ago. Westbrook is growing every year. Next year, I'm waiting for Westbrook to become a better shooter. And I have to choose between the two of them, especially after I see KD abandon the ship after failing the team last year. I'm going to go with Westbrook. I put my money on Westbrook, and I have complete confidence that Westbrook will triumph over KD when they face each other in the Western Conference Finals.
Wow. So Sid, Oklahoma City to the finals next year.
That's my prediction. You know, KD's a Longhorn. I'm a Longhorn. I've been a big KD fan ever since he was in high school. Okay.
Hey Sid, I gotta jump in here because I remember you told me this story.
Tell that story, Sid.
When Barnes brought in KD and you had to guard him before he even started. You gotta let the people know.
That's right. So every summer we go back to Austin and you know, have scrimmage. And I got a special call where coach is like, I need you to come up 1 week sooner because, you know, the freshmen that came in, we have a talented group. There was DJ Augustine was there, and what's the other cat? Damian James was there too. They're a real talented group, okay, all predicted to go one and done, maybe two and done. And they needed me to guard Kevin, is what they said, because Kevin was wreaking havoc, and there was nobody with the size or strength or athleticism to give him a hard time. So they were like, we will need you to rough him up a little bit. So we scrimmage, game goes to 6. Okay, so we keep it quick. Everything is 1. And when you first see him, he doesn't look like much. I mean, we're used to his appearance now, but you wouldn't think he is athletic and fast and skilled as he is by just looking at him. So when I looked at him, I was like, all right, I got him. And he must have dropped about 6 games. He dropped 5 out of 6 points. Unstoppable. And he was only 17 at the time, too.
Wow.
He, first of all, he's a good 7 feet tall. All right. All right.
He's not 6'9".
He's not no 6'9". He looks like he's about 7 feet tall. And he's very quick. Very quick, and he got bounce, too.
So are we talking about the most skilled 7-footer in the history of the league?
I mean, I would have to say, when it comes to, like, the intangibles, he definitely has it, because we like to see guard play from big men because it just looks awesome, right? Because you know how difficult it is.
Yes.
However, I do believe that in order for him to reach a new level, he's going to have to change his game because his game is not efficient enough to play like that. He's going to have to become more of an inside-oriented player for him to be more efficient. So kind of
develop the Kobe Michael game down low with the turnaround shots, the 15-foot post game.
If he doesn't develop that, this is the best we've seen of KD.
At what, 27, 28 years old, too? That would be a shame.
So yeah. KD was giving you buckets like that. Was his handle quick? But when I first saw him at UT, I was like, he's good, but that handle looks a little slow.
The handle let's be honest, the handle's still a little bit slow, but it's difficult to be that tall and have a really quick handle, just from a physics perspective. All right, Chris Paul is much closer to the ground than
Absolutely.
Durant, right? His handle is always going to be tighter. LeBron's handle is loose because he's tall, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing with LeBron. If you notice LeBron, like he can handle the rock, but he doesn't like try to dance on you that much. LeBron is more of a one crossover, I got you.
But I asked you that because you said he's that quick, and I can't like fathom still him being 7 feet tall. You know, you being, what are you, like 6'5", 6'6"? And
about 6'5", yeah.
Okay, and he was that quick as a 7-footer. That's why I asked that.
The quickness is not just, you know, it's not just with the ball. It's like without the ball.
Right. Okay.
Just running up and down.
And his step is right in his step too.
Matt.
Go ahead.
Matt, I gotta jump in. Because I think I don't know if y'all. I'm pretty sure y'all talked about this. I never gave my just quick thoughts on KD going to the Warriors.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Jump in. Go ahead.
Because we talked about this quickly on Dead End Sports. Because not quickly, we talked about it like an hour, but I think I have more time to sit with this. And I think the more I thought about it, I listened to all the hot takes, I listened to all the disrespect, I listened to all the bandwagoning, and, you know, just my final take is I have no problem with Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. I have zero problem. I used to have like a maybe he could have, and now I have zero problem. The reason why I have zero problem with him going to the Warriors, man, is when I read the article that Jerry West called, he got a call from Jerry West, and I'm sorry, he called Jerry West. KD called Jerry West, and he said, "Hey man, I'm going back and forth right now. It's really hard. I just want to know what do you think I should do?" And Jerry West is like, you know, out of all the finals that I lost, regardless of the fact that I only won, all the ones that I lost are the ones that haunt me every single day. And for basketball fans to be very intellectually dishonest with themselves, because on one hand you can't have it both ways. Is all I'm saying. People are very dishonest with themselves because they'll say, well, the chemistry will never work between him and Russell, right? I've heard those takes from people since probably 2-3 years ago. And now that he leaves, it's a problem. Oh, he should have stayed one more year. You can't have it both ways. You can't have the chemistry will never work, and then say, you know what, he should have stayed. People never factor in the fact that dude has had 2 foot surgeries. Perhaps he's hated the medical staff. Perhaps the fact that he's never had a great coach and he'll actually get to work with Steve Kerr. Perhaps he'll actually have a guy who will pass him the ball, and not just because he wants to stat pad. Perhaps he wants to go play with a power forward who can actually hit a 3-point shot and not act like he can hit a 3-point shot. Perhaps he wants to play within a system that the ball moves around and he's not the primary guy to shoot in the fourth quarter. I think we hold players today by this standard of Jordanness and this standard of 90s baller, you know, mentality. KD is not that. KD is not, you know, Michael Jordan. He's not going to be that dude. He's never going to be that person. What he can be is Kevin Durant, and his legacy in Golden State will forever just be the guy who came and we're assuming is going to win championships. Now, that being said, Russell in OKC, if I'm him, as soon as my contract is up, I'm trying to get out too, and I'm looking to go to the Pelicans because him and Anthony Davis would be absolute damage, but KD owes nobody an apology for being 27, 28 and wanting to think about his life, his career, and his future. Because when he's up there on that Hall of Fame, you know, podium, and he's like Charles Barkley, and he has nothing to say about winning rings besides I got close, then people will say perhaps he should have went to Golden State, perhaps he should have went to Boston. He's there now. Let's not ridicule him for doing that. I don't believe in this he ran narrative. He gave them 9 years of his life. And people always talk about loyalty and all that. There is no loyalty in sports. Cut it. Stop talking about loyalty in sports. Ask Randy Moss to call Bill Belichick about loyalty in sports. There is no loyalty in sports. There's only money and opportunity that presents itself. And as long as money making opportunity and contracts align, that's where the loyalty ends and that's where it starts. So
business.
KD, yeah, it's all about business. And KD, this narrative that he ran after giving them 9 years, I hate that. I hate that narrative so much because he gave them 9 years. He was in the finals. They never got back. The medical staff pushed him back out there, and he had another foot fracture. What do you owe them? You owe them nothing. So yeah, I would bounce too if I wanted to, and you see how people act. Loyalty. Yet you got everyone burning his jersey. You got everyone tearing down signs and vandalizing bars named after him and going outside of his apartment. Like that's the most disrespectful stuff. Calm down. It's a sport. And at the end of the day, we need to look at this for what it is, a business decision. And I think that's all it is. It's a business decision. And that's what I said on Dead End Sports, and that's what I definitely believe now after hearing people give their hot takes on what's the name of that shit, SB Nation or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to say us specifically, but as fans in general and the media, what is the biggest thing with these guys are always worried about their legacy now because of social media, ESPN, all that crap. What's the biggest thing they always look at? Championship rings, right? So fans will criticize him for leaving, going to win a championship the easy way. It is what it is. But if he stays and is loyal, right, that loyal word you talk about, and he loses, what does the media do? They blast him. Oh, fuck Kevin Durant. He didn't win. He's terrible. He's weak. So it's lose-lose. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But, Mike, I'm coming to you now on this whole thing.
Honestly, I think the whole thing is clickbait. I mean, KD he met with OKC and told them straight up, he met with the team, I should say, the GM, ownership, and it's like, look, I'm not coming back. Honestly, that should be enough. If you work at the same job and you go up to the higher ups and be like, hey, I'm going elsewhere, I can't be mad at you. I mean, I understand if it's a thing where you told me, I'm going to stay and you leave, I might be a little hurt, but at the end of the day, it's a business. What we need to be talking about is next summer or before then, when Westbrook leaves, then I think it's a very little chance he stays, unless they can convince a superstar to come to that team and maybe save the season. I think Westbrook is done at OKC, and we have to acknowledge that this is something this franchise may never recover from. This will be 3 superstars they have let go for nothing. No picks, no players, not even.
So let me jump in here, Mike, and throw this out there then. So if we think he's going to leave and that's the consensus, should they just make a trade? Obviously, you're not going to get equal value back. You know that.
You're not.
The top 5 guy.
You're not going to get equal value, but here's the conundrum. All the teams that could be in a position to get Russ, they would have to give up something with no guarantee that he's going to re-sign or sign an extension. So it's a big catch-22. I think there probably won't be any takers during the season. There probably won't be anything by the trade deadline. But he's not re-signing with OKC. I can see it now. Like, unless he balls out and has an MVP season and carries that team on his back. Because you got to remember, Oladipo is still on the come up. I mean, you still got Enes Kanter. You got a lot of young players with potential. But you can't replace 30 points a night with KD leaving in the West when you're going against the Warriors, the Spurs, the Clippers if they get their act together, and who knows what Portland's going to do. I think Westbrook is done. I think the days are numbered. I think next summer he leaves, and that franchise never recovers. You look at Orlando when Shaq left, and then Penny went through all those injuries. Small market team losing 2 superstars. Yeah, they were able to sign like McGrady and sign Grant Hill and draft Howard, but it was never to that level of excitement.
Never. They never recovered. Never.
A lot of people forget.
But I would argue they did reach some level of success, maybe even more, because they did win a finals game.
Yeah, but that don't count. Like, that's a moral victory. That's a moral victory. We all know Orlando got to the finals that year because they were red hot shooting. Anyone that says the Dwight Howard carried that team is a bold-faced liar and didn't see it. Hedo Turkoglu and your boy Rashard was balling out doing that.
Michael Pietrus.
Yeah, and Skip to Malou was balling too.
And
Kobe Waxman.
Van Gundy shot himself in the foot when he brought Jameer Nelson
back.
Hey,
remember though,
he ruined the chemistry. But yet still, that franchise has never been to the level that it was in '95.
No.
When they went to the finals.
They were never like the NBA's. The Magic were like the NBA's chosen ones, the darlings. Everybody. Dynasty. Nobody thought that Dwight Orlando.
I mean, well, the NBA rigged that shit, so obviously, yeah, they got Penny Hardaway and fucking Shaq, and then they traded 4 first-round picks for Chris Webber and gold. That was collusion out the ass. But anyway, like, I'm joking, but when it comes to Russ, man, I think OKC they have to trade him at the deadline. I'm not doing it now. I'm doing it at the deadline. And the reason is simple, man. It's just you let James Harden go when all you had to do was amnesty Perkins and go into the luxury tax, and they refused to do it. They tried to search for value, and they couldn't get value back because no one was sure what Harden could be if he was ever going to be that guy.
They thought Kevin Martin was going to be value.
Yeah, and they thought, like, you know, they didn't know. Teams around the league didn't know if he was going to be that guy or if he was just a good six-man. And he proved everybody wrong that he was really a good player on offense. And they got burned there. So then everyone's like, okay, yeah, they did that because at the time it was trying to make sense. Like, oh, the reason why they just let him go is because they have to make room for the contracts of KD, Russ, and Serge. Now that was traded away.
And Serge is gone now.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of the end.
You traded
when they let Harden go, that was the beginning of the end for them. That was it. Because even Kobe said, him coming off the bench, that was the thorn in his side. He was like, man, that guy, he said, we had no answer. And I said back then, I told Matt and Mike back then, I said, this guy should be starting. And
he should have been starting. And it speaks to the volumes of the coaching that KD hasn't had, which is why he went to Golden State to someone of caliber of Steve Kerr. Like, why would you say in the playoffs James Harden should be starting in the middle of a series and you don't start him? Like, what sense does that make? That makes no sense. It's like if I'm on the court and there's a guy 5 inches shorter than me and Matt says to me, Mike, you should post him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that next game. What sense does that make? You got an advantage. You need to take that. And I think it's like an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment of riches. The amount of talent they've let go in the past few years. Yeah, Harden, I think, was the first domino. They recovered for a couple years, became contenders again. Then KD gets injured. Then they have the Reggie Jackson fiasco. They bring in Dion Waiters. He's inconsistent. Then they let Serge Ibaka go. It's like all the talent, not just looking at KD and Harden, they've let some pieces go too. And it's like this team I don't think it's ever going to recover from that. They might as well move back to Seattle. Really, they might as well move back to Seattle and start fresh.
Go ahead, Q.
I didn't mind. What I was saying was I didn't mind the logic back then of, we had to trade Harden because we want to make Serge, KD, and Russ our big three. I didn't hate the move, but I was like, that's a little weird because you can go into the luxury tax, and yet they didn't. So then they respond by giving Kendrick Perkins minutes in the playoffs, and I'm like, I thought you were gonna cut him before camp, and what was that about? I thought that was supposed to make room for more players, and then I realized that wait, OKC's management is just incompetent. So what happens is you move on from Harden, then like you said, KD gets hurt, and then after KD gets hurt, I think Russell had a meniscus tear.
Yeah, and then Reggie Jackson, and then they moved Reggie Jackson as well.
Yeah, and And I didn't mind that move because it made sense for Augustine and somebody else. It made sense. But the problem is that all of these players, they never really meshed with me for what I thought they were gonna be. I know a lot of people love that big four, but dude, Serge, for some, I don't know what happened in his development, man. But they kept telling him to go to the 3-point line.
I think
And
because,
No, they kept letting him go to the
Yeah.
3-point line. It's the
I think because of what the
No.
NBA was going though, with power forwards now shooting threes and stretching
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah, and the problem is that, like I said, it made sense at the time that that's why they would move Harden. But now you're like, why didn't you just sign him? And that doesn't make sense now. Like, why didn't they just sign him? But can we really imagine two ball hogs like Harden and Westbrook trying to go down the fourth quarter? You know what I'm saying?
It would have been a bad. It would have been a bad fit.
It really would have been a bad fit.
Why are we still calling Westbrook who at one point led the league in assists, the ball hog? Why are we still calling him that?
I think.
The reason why we're doing that is because the assist clip is misleading. It's not Rondo-esque. It's not CP3-esque. The reason why he has all those assists at one point.
I actually think Rondo's assists are misleading too.
They are, but I'm talking more prime like Celtics Rondo. I'm not talking about this Kings Rondo. But the reason why people call him a ball hog is because the assists that he gets were simply, and we see now that it was simply a product of Kevin Durant not being there. And all those assists did not add up to wins. He was the best player on a stripped down team. You had Dion Waiters who came over. He didn't really get his footing. You had Serge was hurt for most of that year. And he was just dishing out dimes to bums and guys who are journeymen. So the reason why people call him a ball hog, let me get this point off. The reason why people call him a ball hog is because when it comes down to that fourth quarter, and I'm not saying the KD is absolved of all blame, but I'm saying when it comes down to that fourth quarter, and we see KD or Dion Waiters who might be on actually a hot streak, and they're like this, Russell will just say, fuck it, I'm taking a full head of steam to the basket, and he'll miss a point-blank layup, and then everyone goes like, what are you doing? That's a ball hog. That's not floor general stuff. The reason why CP gets the assist clip that he does is because it's not an impersonation. It's not an impression. That's in his DNA of who he wants to be. I'm looking for the open man.
Yeah.
Russ doesn't do that. Russ only does it because no one was on that squad. Go ahead.
Hey, Sid, quick. Would you kind of consider James Harden a ball hog? I mean, you see, he takes off.
I think James Harden is worthless to lead your team.
Yeah, here's the thing, I asked this for a reason though. Remember when Harden was almost MVP, barely finished below Steph, right? In MVP voting a couple of years ago. Harden averaged almost 8 assists a game that year. We consider him a ball hog.
But
Like,
you gotta remember
I was gonna say this. It's almost like it's one of those things. Like, and I think Westbrook kind of falls into this. He makes his move, and if he has now I have nothing, so I will pass, and I'm just gonna pass so I get an assist, not to make my teammates better. And I say that because I don't see Russell Westbrook necessarily making his teammates better. Maybe my eye test is just fucked up and wrong.
Right. You're right. Now I got something to add to that though. Now, this is what we mean by Russell is not a great passer. The numbers, like I said, they are very misleading. They look great. Don't get me wrong. But this is the problem Russell Westbrook passed. When you see somebody like a CP3, he's setting these guys up to score.
Exactly.
Like you said, a lot of times Russell Westbrook will go to the hole and he's going to force this shot, and he throws it out to the wing. And it's really a bad pass when they go out of bounds. When somebody catches it and throws it up for a shot, he got credit for an assist, but it was completely an accident. It was not on purpose to leave that guy for that shot. It was a bad pass that somebody made good of. Another thing, James Harden. I've always said this, and this is what I've always believed. I always thought that James Harden and Kevin Durant would have been a better match together. This is why. One reason is because James Harden, I think he's an underrated passer. I think he can pass. I think that on Houston, he's playing with somebody like Dwight Howard, who really can't do anything but catch oops.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really have anybody else who can kind of like move around and like get open.
And they don't have any shooters really on that Houston team.
No shooters.
Except now they do. They got Ryan Anderson.
Let's go look at that year they went to the finals. When they went to the finals, they played against the Spurs. It was James Harden's pick and roll game
that killed. That made the difference in that series.
Getting to the hole, passing. That's what kind of helped them out because Russell Westbrook wasn't really great this series.
Did they move Russell Westbrook to the 2 kind of when they brought Harden in? He was the primary ball handler. I think.
Yeah, he was. They did. They moved to the 2, and a lot of times Russell was on the bench. Like Russell wasn't playing. Russell wasn't really great that series. James Harden and KD played better on the floor together. And if I'm not mistaken, just check some of the stats. Check the plus minus when KD and James Harden were on the floor together. They played pretty good together. It's Russell Westbrook. Nobody. I mean, if you just look at it long enough, like we'll see this year. Like even with these East and West standards, which we're going to get to next.
Yeah.
I think it's a complete joke that they have OKC at a 6 seed.
I think OKC is going to be a top 5 seed. I don't think people are sleeping. I think people think they're just going to tank. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Russell's going to be pissed. I think he's going to be pissed and he's going to play with a head full of rage.
Russell
but then again, that's
the MVP this year.
Yeah, like
going to be the MVP this year.
I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far.
Ain't either too far, bro.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that far and say he'll be MVP. I'm looking at Kawhi. And I'm looking at what's his name? I'm looking at Jimmy Butler too, and Paul George. I'm looking at those 3 guys. But when it comes to OKC, they have to make a move, man. And I'm telling you, the one thing you don't want to happen, because this is what I think Russell Westbrook needs. And as a guy, I always wanted to be a point guard. I was too tall to be a point guard. But the one thing that every big man likes is a good point guard, right?
Yes.
I think the best thing that can happen to Russell Westbrook is if he hooks up with Anthony Davis. I think that's terror for the league because you have 2 freaks of nature that can just pick and roll the entire league to death. And I don't think Drew Holiday is the answer. I think Buddy Hield can be a serviceable 2 with Russell beside him. I think who's their 3? They just pick up somebody. They got
Tyreek.
I think what Russell needs a star, and then he needs all role players and a star beside him. OKC, people always tell me that OKC had the deepest bench. They were like 4 or 5 deep against Golden State. I never understood that, that they were deep. Enes Kanter was absolutely useless against Golden State.
They don't because Enes Kanter does not fit with that team.
Yeah, and I didn't understand that move. I mean, Presti, he'll make a great trade like what he did with Serge, but then he'll do something out of nowhere like the Kanter thing.
Yeah.
I didn't.
You know why he did that though? You know why he did that? And I remember when I was at work and I'm on my phone looking because it's the trade deadline. I don't know if you remember they were trying to get Brook Lopez at the deadline that year, and New Jersey Brooklyn just wouldn't do it. So I think they just settled on Kanter, and I think Kanter's good. He's a really good down low guy. His footwork, he can score down low. He rebounds. He's just not a great defender, but they don't really need him for that at OKC, but with all those shooters they have and guys who need the ball, it just doesn't work. You got Waiters, you had KD, you had Ibaka, you had obviously Westbrook, but you had all these guys who need the basketball, and then you bring Kanter in the game.
I think we should ask everybody just real quick. Let's say it's the deadline, right? And OKC wants to trade them. Who do you think has the most attractive pieces that they could get something back for? I think New Orleans. I think Orlando, Minnesota easily could just get you done.
I was talking about this with my little cousin. He's like,
and
I would if you can get the Lakers to be, and I think it would be a hell of a deal. Russell Westbrook for Ingram and D'Angelo Russell. That's what I could go for.
No.
I think, man,
I like that move. And if you can get him to be stupid and throw in Larry Nance Jr., try to get it.
man,
Hey, we know. Hey, let's be honest. Jim Buss is a fucking idiot.
Yeah, but I'll say
do
this,
it.
just like I said earlier, man. Anybody that trades for Westbrook now, with his deal expiring,
And he'll resign with that.
they have to do
if you
it.
get him, you are ass out at the end of the season.
No, I don't think so.
Let's say the Lakers do get him.
They're
Why
going to still
would he
resign.
stay?
Because it's LA. It's where he's from.
He
I think
can
he'll
play
stay.
for the Clippers.
I
He
think they
can
could
play for
trade.
the Clippers in the same stadium.
Yeah, but that's a. I think LA will have the cap space to bring in some other guys, and if Westbrook's there, and you got Randall, you got Clarkson to be your sixth man, you can bring other guys in.
But that's a big if. Like I'm going to put it to you this way:
Mm-hmm.
if Westbrook signs an extension with OKC or gets traded and signs an extension, then other players, I think other top guys are going to be like, wow, Russ is going to be there for 2-3 years. I'm going to go pair with him. But if he just gets traded to the Lakers and they're not sure what he's going to do, a lot of guys might kind of wait like they did with KD this year.
But
You know, a lot of guys kind of waited like,
Here's
what's
the
he going to
thing.
do?
When was the last time anybody signed with OKC? Even on a minimum contract.
Bro, when was the last time somebody signed with the Lakers, bro?
Because they're young.
Well, dang, what you talking about?
You bring in
You
Russell
can't go
Westbrook.
because they're young, bro. You got to go with their current history. I'm a Bulls fan. I know we are in despair. I know those were desperation moves getting Rondo and Wade. I'm not.
Well, here's the thing: is that they would most likely get that trade done with like they're on the phone. Like, hey, if we do this, I'm gonna need to talk to Russell and get at least a 2-year deal so we can re-up. I want to see what he can do. You know, I don't want this to be bad for both sides. I don't want to sign him to a 5-year deal and then he doesn't want to be here. Let's do a 1-and-1 deal, and then upon the trade, you know what I'm saying? I think they will have to get an extension out of him before the trade. So the reason why I think that a trade would happen is because they did get a promise that you're all signed.
So
And
Q, are you
that was
going to
my
get
point,
something
man, is
real
that
quick, though.
it would be a good trade, but you would have to get some assurance from Westbrook, something on contract that you're getting him for at least 2 years, not for half a season, because then he could just walk. And then it's like, what did you gave up everything for nothing?
So are we going with the assumption that he gets that the team he gets traded, they're going to get the extension out of him? We're going to go with that assumption.
Oh yeah, if I'm a GM,
then
and
I go
I'm
with
doing a trade for Westbrook right now, I need at least 2 years guaranteed.
And that's why if I'm the Thunder, I'm going to the Lakers. I think that's the best package you can get.
I think Lakers, Minnesota, and probably.
Who do you take from Minnesota? Dunn, obviously Chris Dunn.
I want Dunn. I want Shabazz, and I want Zach. I'm not getting Andrew Wiggins, and I'm not getting Karl Anthony Towns probably.
Mm-hmm.
So either them or outside chance probably be the Magic, because he would. I'm gonna say this: if Russell is in on where he wants to go to, he's gonna give them a list of people he wants to go to. And if he loves Serge the way he says he does, he'll probably say, "Yeah, I want to be in Orlando with Serge or something." I really just want to see that a New Orleans deal, because I don't think y'all get how crazy that would be.
That would be a nice spot for him. It would be dope, but the problem is, does OKC get anything they value from them?
That's the thing. They'll have to throw in Hield. That's the thing. They'll have to throw in. Yeah. They'll have to have Holiday. They have to throw in Hield.
And
the
problem becomes now New Orleans has no shooters.
Yeah, but with a team like that, with a centerpiece of 2 superstars, you can get players. You'll have to wait a little bit, but you can attract people. And that's my point about him going to the Lakers. If he's not under contract, it's going to be hard to attract people. So he goes to New Orleans, and him and Anthony Davis together, who's not going to want to play with them?
Yeah, people like dude, you saw once KD went to the Warriors, man, they had fucking rumors about goddamn Ray Allen coming out of retirement to play with them. So it's like,
hey, Ray Allen, the rumors are starting of him going to Golden State.
Yeah, it's between Golden State and Cleveland.
I really hope he goes to Golden State. I want to see him get 3 rings. That would be fun.
Q, was it Ryan who said that would be the greatest spacing we've ever seen on the floor ever in an NBA game?
Yeah, Ryan said that.
Oh man,
because the thing is though is that even at Ray's advanced age, I'm pretty sure Ray can sit in the corner and just do this all day. Like,
absolutely, good man. Hey, I was telling him about it in the pre-show.
Ray still has conditioning though.
Yeah.
You saw his mom ran the Boston Marathon.
Yeah,
It's in his genetic.
Hey, I'm a lot heavier now than I used to be and out of shape, man. I've been working with my little cousin, and I shot 53s the other day and hit 44 of them. So I know Ray Allen can.
Ray Allen runs like 10 Ks in 30 seconds, man. He's fucking amazing. But
yeah, I know he can.
Another team, because I know Ryan would be pissed if I didn't at least bring it up, but he probably would be pissed if I did bring it up. Boston, if OKC is smart, if they're smart, no pun intended for Marcus, but if they're smart, then they'll look to Boston because this year's draft is going to be incredible. You know, this year's draft, 2017 coming up, this is going to be probably the best draft. It has potential to be the best draft since '84. It has that type of talent in there. You got at least 9 guys who
maybe 10.
You got 10 dudes who are competing for the #1 pick right now, and I'm talking of all. You have like 4 point guards in this draft who are Russell Westbrook like. I'm talking. They are dudes like Dennis Smith from North Carolina. You got like you said, De'Aaron Fox.
Yes.
Josh Jackson.
Yeah,
you got Jason Tatum, Giles. All these kids going to Duke by themselves are just amazing. So you have all this great talent, and if you're looking to OKC for your star, because Boston needs a star. Yeah. Here's what I want. I want those 2 Brooklyn picks because one is this year and then they get a swap. I want those Brooklyn picks and I want Isaiah Thomas. And then you can have Russell Westbrook for cheap. That's cheap for Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. And then you'll put him with people like Jay Crowder, Al Horford, who they were trying to sign in OKC. It makes sense on both sides.
Yeah. And then Russ goes to the East where
he's got a chance.
Oh, beyond a chance. He can dominate. You don't worry about Cleveland. That's it.
Mike Q, this is a perfect segue into the next topic I want to get into. And we'll start with the Eastern Conference here. ESPN a few days ago, they released their projections for this upcoming season. And I've got it open on my phone. I'm gonna run it down what their projections were, and then we're going to talk about that.
No suspense. You know, we know who's at #1.
Yeah, we know who's number 1. Cleveland is 1. We got Cleveland 1 projected, and I'm going to give the win-loss projection for everybody. We got Cleveland 1, 57-25, which they finished last year. That's their projection. We got tied for second, Boston at 51-31, Toronto 51-31. Tied for 4, we got Detroit and Indiana. Detroit 45-37, Indiana 45-37. At number 6, we have the Hawks, 44-38. 7, the Hornets, 43-39. Washington 8, 41-41. Tied for 9th, both at 40-42. The Knicks and the Bulls. Milwaukee 11-39-43. Miami at 12, 36-46. The Magic at 13, 35-47. Philly at 20-62, and the Nets at 20-62. So I'm going to go to Gonzo on this one. What are your thoughts on these projections?
A perfect reason why I don't fuck with ESPN. Bro, I tried my hardest not to watch ESPN. I'm so grateful. I've been like about 4 months now without watching ESPN. And I'm like this close to like deleting the app on my phone. Like seriously, like I just want to know the writer of this article or who made these predictions. Obviously, he's from Colorado, and I want some of the shit he's smoking because
man,
let's just let's just look at this real quick. First of all, I don't know how they put Boston over Indiana, or Toronto for that matter. At least Toronto made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. The only upgrade Boston had was Al Horford.
Right, and that's not a huge
a few more wins, but that's not a huge upgrade. That puts them in tie for 2. Yeah, right. Get out of here. Look at this. The Toronto Raptors, maybe, but I don't see either one of those teams at 2. I see Indiana easily at 2.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Indiana just has better pieces. Just like Jeff Teague over George Hill, obviously a better decision.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I'm with. I already know.
If he's healthy, if you have a low post, you got a low post guy. If he's healthy, and Al Jefferson, come on, man. Paul George and Jeff Teague alone already.
Jefferson's coming off the bench. The more intriguing person on that Indiana team, who I love, is Miles Turner. That's the stud.
Him as well. Like, let's look at this right here. The Raptors. Not the Raptors, but Detroit. Who the hell did Detroit pick up?
That's who I got at number 2. Detroit.
They got Boban.
Right. I don't get that. The Atlanta 6. I can leave Atlanta at 6.
I don't think Detroit had to make many moves though, because they got young guys who are all improving. That's why I don't think they had to make a move. And look at who did Cleveland struggle with the most?
Detroit. That's true. Like I got Detroit in the playoffs, but not that high.
Yeah, I got
Charlotte. Let's be honest, Charlotte, they had Jeremy Lin last year who came off the bench and Courtney Lee and Jeremy Lin did a great job off the bench for Charlotte last year. And they lost both of those guys. I'm not putting them at the 7th seed in the Wizards. Yeah, fucking right. Like, I got the Knicks.
Bradley Beal's got to stay healthy before you can make that projection.
Come on, man. That's been Bradley Beal's whole scouting report.
Exactly. Go ahead, Gonzo.
I got the Knicks slide into the 8th spot over the Wizards. I'm sorry. I mean,
and hey, Gonzo, you got the Bulls in too.
Absolutely.
I think you got the Bulls at number 3.
Exactly. I got the Bulls at number 3. Like the Bulls are better. The Bulls are better than Toronto. I'm sorry. Toronto is not a good team. They're not that good. Detroit, I think they're just young and inexperienced. You know, I give them to Atlanta. Atlanta now they don't have Jeff Teague and they don't have Horford. They got Dwight Howard. And then they got Schroeder. They got Schroeder, whatever his name is, playing point guard.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder.
Honestly, does that really make them a 6th seed?
No.
They might be 8th seed. No.
Gonzo, you know what I love about you, man? This is what I love about Gonzo. Is like, I don't even have to say these things because he's already said them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this man he's telling the truth. I agree with you 100%. Like, you know, Dwight
Howard is not a good player. He does not make Atlanta good.
No. You know, I agree 100%. That team has not improved. They're on the decline, if you ask me, because he's a liability.
Oh man.
Like honestly, man, like this whole Eastern Conference, like really is like a joke to even like right now to even like really debate it. I'm quite sure we're all pretty much looking at this like, wow. Like,
I think that's fair, but we're kind of debating everything of everybody but Cleveland.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They got LeBron and Kyrie.
Unless Westbrook gets traded to the East, there's really no and the wild card. And I know Gonzo's kind of leaning there. The wild card, I think, is the Bulls if they stay healthy, because we know Chicago the last couple of years has had LeBron's number.
Yeah, but here's my thing. This is an entirely new team. Like, first of all, let me preface this by saying I'm a Bulls fan.
And they got to stay healthy.
I wasn't super thrilled with the Rondo deal. I was cool with the Wade deal. But I'm looking at where they are right now. These guys have a lot to prove because they're like, oh, wow, Miami didn't want to give me my money. Or Rondo, he's been in the shadows for a couple years. So this is like, basically, we got these 2 players for 2 years. 1 year, really. If it goes to shit and they don't make the playoffs, those guys are gone.
Yeah, and that's why they got
1 year option.
That's a win-win scenario, kind of for the Bulls, though.
Nah, it's not. I'm gonna tell you why, Matt. What the Bulls did last year is exactly what Oklahoma City did a year ago. Only they didn't make the playoffs. They had a great roster, and they brought in a new coach who really was worse than the coach they had.
But
So they
here's
took
the
a
thing,
step
though.
back. And
I think
they try to put in a system. This is Chicago I'm speaking of, where they're gonna play up tempo, this fast-paced offense. You got all these old vets.
yeah,
So,
that's on management though. That's on man. I think.
I know it's on management. I'm gonna get to John Paxson ass in a minute.
Thibodeau had to go. He had to go on that team. That locker room tuned him out.
Tibbs had to go because of John Paxson's ego. Let's be real. John Paxson has been a GM in Chicago for almost 10 years now. He has fought with every coach. Hell, he physically fought with Vinny Del Negro a couple years ago. So that's on Paxson.
The reason I say Tibbs had to go, though, is because some of those players did not like the way he was managed. The practices were going. You know,
I can understand that. I can understand that.
You can't run an NBA program like that.
I can understand that because Tibbs is an old school coach, and he's like, look, y'all got to run. Y'all got to go hard every day. I understand that. And maybe he overran some players. Maybe that led to the knee injuries and whatnot. You know, but at the same time, you can't argue with the results. The team made the playoffs every year, and even in years when they didn't have Derek, they won a Game 7 on the road. They competed. If you look at it last year, well, the year before last, they were the only team that gave Cleveland a run until they got to the finals and lost to the Warriors. So you can't argue with the results. Then you bring in a first-year coach who had success in college, and you want to revolutionize with this new offense, but you got all these vets. Paul Gasol can't run the floor. Joakim Noah can't run the floor, not for 35, 40 minutes. And then you got all these young guys that hadn't played before. I just thought it was a recipe for disaster. It was either going to be a monumental success or a colossal failure, and it was a colossal failure. Now going to this year, if Wade stays healthy, if he plays anything like he did last year, they could do something. Because
Wade's got to play 65 games minimum this year.
Nah, he got to play 70-something games. But Matt, let's be honest. Who were the best 4 players in the Eastern Conference playoffs last year? They were LeBron James,
LeBron, Wade, Kyrie Irving,
and then Paul George. Paul George dominated Toronto in that first round.
Absolutely.
If Paul George had a little help, they win that series.
I mean, he got robbed, so.
Oh, yeah, he got robbed. And you look at Game 7 with some of the calls. Paul George, if he had a little help, he wins that series. You look at Miami. If Wade had a little help, they win that series.
Lights out of
if Chris Bosh plays, Miami's in the conference final versus Cleveland.
Not even if Chris Bosh plays. If Gordon Dragic has 20 in that Game 7, they win. Seriously, it was that close. I watched those games because there was nothing else on. I had to watch it. I like ball, and I was like, well, this is better than nothing. Better than WNBA. But let's be real.
Damn.
Toronto, there's 2 star players play like garbage the entire playoffs.
They always do.
Lowry and DeRozan didn't have a good game. No, think about it. Even when you go back and look at the stats, when there was like Lowry put up 30 in the game or DeRozan put up 30 in the game, you look at their numbers. They were shooting 12 for like 26, 12 for 30. These are like
they were like 12 more, so 12 for 30.
He's really
that's what I'm saying, man. Those are Iverson numbers that we would have crucified Iverson for those numbers back in the day. But these guys weren't getting it done. They have teams though. Exactly. If it wasn't for Bismack Biyombo doing his Mutombo impression, if it wasn't for all these guys like Corey Joseph coming in spot minutes,
Corey was better than Kyle.
I don't know how they made it to the conference finals. And I'm gonna ask this one question to the whole panel. When have you ever seen a team with their 2 best players play completely like garbage make it to the conference finals?
Under 40%. Yeah.
The 03 Lakers. No, I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, they lost to San Antonio.
Sacramento, what's up? But the thing is like, I gotta respond to the dude who said Indiana. I wasn't sold on most of what you're talking about because I don't think many of the teams that you think can make the jump, I don't think they make a lot of sense on paper. Jeff Teague has never been a high assist point guard. I believe he averaged about 5.8, 5.9 last year.
Mhm.
And the Pacers roster is just, quite frankly, it's gross because they got Jeff Teague, who I don't like at all. I think in spurts Dew is good, but in Atlanta he never showed me
Like, real quick, too, about Jeff Teague. What do you think of him defensively? Because I think that's
defensively.
big. Is he better than George Hill defensively? I would say yes.
Yeah, he will be better
Think
than
so?
George Hill
Think
defensively.
so?
But the thing is, though, is that he wasn't even better than Schroeder defensively because
True.
you saw how they took him out for Schroeder, and
They
let
benched him.
yeah they benched him for Schroeder, and Schroeder's to me is not that amazing, but he's pretty good. So you got Jeff T, you got Monte Ellis. Right, just think about this
Oh,
roster. Right, so
God.
you got Jeff T, Monte Ellis, Paul George, and you're gonna add in you're gonna add in Miles Turner, and then you're probably gonna you're probably gonna have Thaddeus Young and then Miles Turner. Then you have Al Jefferson off the bench with people like Aaron Brooks, Stuckey, and Lavoy Allen, Glenn Robinson, or probably Joe Young or something. This team doesn't make sense on paper, and it's not going to make sense on the court because Monte Ellis is the biggest monkey wrench in the NBA
Yeah.
due to the fact that he needs the ball in his hand to be effective, and Jeff Teague needs the ball in his hand to be effective, and Paul George needs the ball to be passed to him to be effective, and and the thing is though is that I'm not saying, well, actually I retract that last statement. Paul George can take over if he wants to, but he's not going to be able to do that with two guys who need the ball to be effective. So it's going to be literally just him and Turner again, all for themselves in the playoffs. Now, the way I see this Eastern Conference shaking out, I see the Celtics being the first seed, and they're going to get it by like 1 or 2 games. It's not going to be like all ahead of Cleveland. They're going to be the number 1 seed simply because I believe they won 48 games last year, and Al Horford to me is worth at least 8 to 6 wins by himself. And you're going to get more development time for those young guys. And then Brad Stevens showed that he's probably a top 5, some people say top 2, top 3 coach in the NBA, period. And he did the most with some of the least. And to me, it's him, Stotts, and Popovich, and that's it right now. And then you got guys like Smart who are going to make that jump. You got guys like R.J. Hunter who might be able to make that jump. You got Isaiah Thomas who will be able to make that jump. And you can run pick and roll with him and Al Horford probably all day. So I like them at the 1 seed only because Cleveland is going to have fatigue and they're going to want to take games off. LeBron James is going to be like, yo, I just won a finals. That monkey's off my back.
Yeah,
Let's cruise. Let's cruise into these playoffs. Why are we going to exert ourselves? We going to be good.
And they don't need home court.
And another thing, Q, I'm glad you brought that up because here's an interesting topic that people are not bringing up too. When you talk about the Warriors and and the super team they have now, they had to join forces because of number 1, LeBron James. He beat both of the superstars, both Curry and Durant in the finals. They had to join forces to beat him. Now that the monkey is off his back, there is no pressure, and this guy's gonna have fun. He's gonna tear the NBA a new hole this year.
They're not going to beat him. They're not beating LeBron in the finals.
They're not. They will not. The guy now the boy is playing like he was raised by Professor X now.
Damn.
No, and I agree. I agree. Those last 3 games of the finals were superstar top 5 all time. Those last 3 games alone. Those last 3 games of the finals. So I completely agree with that. The thing that you're looking at is LeBron traditionally coasts through the season, but we got to look at the mileage too. Historically, when you go to the finals, he's gone to the finals 6 straight years. That's 30 more games a season than everybody else is playing. Not to mention the Olympics in 2012 and 08. So he's got maybe 4 more seasons played than a lot of people. So he's gonna chill. He's gonna rest some games. He's gonna fly over to Chicago, work out with D Wade a couple days. He's gonna go out to LA where his kids are in school. He's gonna chill. And so I think that gives Boston a back door to go in there and steal that #1 seed. Because, like, I was watching the Bad Boy documentary the other day, and it was right after they won that championship in '89, and Chuck Daly brought the team in at camp, and he was like, man, we've gone deep in the playoffs the last 3 years. We've gone to the finals the last 2 years. This team is getting older. Do we need home court advantage? And the guys were like, no, we don't need it. You know, can we win 2 games? Can we win 1 game on the road? Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so I'm going to rest y'all throughout the season. And in 1990, they got back to the finals and won. That's what Cleveland's going to do this year. LeBron going to take 4 or 5 games off. They're going to let Kyrie and Love chill. And they're going to be right there at the end.
Hey, Mike, what about the 93 Bulls?
Same thing. Horace Grant was complaining, but it was like, look, I got to give Scotty and Mike days off because they just played the finals, went to the Olympics, and now they've gone to the conference finals 4 straight years. That's an entire extra season and a half. And LeBron's gone to the finals 6 straight years. That's 20 games a year, man.
Hey, real quick, Mike. Let's just reflect on that. 6 straight years in the finals.
Yeah.
In this modern era of the NBA, who the hell does that? I don't care if LeBron has.
You got to go back to Bill Russell, bro.
Yeah, who gets to the finals 6 straight years?
I got something. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Look, and I know LeBron's a great player. Easily, like at first he wasn't even in my top 10. He's definitely in my top 5 now. But I got to be realistic. If they play Golden State this year,
they're not winning.
Trust me. Let me tell you something. Harrison Barnes went 2 for 14. KD won't go 2 for 14.
Oh yeah.
I think
trust KD won't miss those shots.
Harrison Barnes hits 2 jumpers.
No, but he does not perform well against LeBron James.
But
KD won't go 2 for 14. It's not happening.
He does not perform well against KD does not perform well against LeBron, and you know it, Gonzo.
What do you do? What do you do in the finals? He plays against LeBron. He averaged like 30 points a game against LeBron.
A lot of shot.
Here's the thing: is that I think there's a difference between what people want to happen and what actually is going to happen. And people see the champagne and they see the gold trophy and they just forget what they witnessed. Let's not forget it took 3 dig deep Herculean efforts from Kyrie, LeBron. That was a perfect storm for a championship to happen. Yeah. Let's not act like that was just some man. They really outbeat. No, that was a perfect storm.
They had to both score 40.
Yeah,
to win that game 5 to keep it alive.
Of course. Here's the thing. We have to keep this in mind is the fact that Golden State. And this is no excuses. This is just what happened. See, I hear people use this as an excuse, but I'm going to tell you what happened. Bogut went down. Is he a huge loss? No. But guess what happened the next game? You all think it's just magic that Kevin Love got all those rebounds? That was literally the reason why Kevin Love was valuable in that Game 7. So you look at Draymond, who called LeBron a fuckboy and all that stuff. That's like poking the bull, and everything. Mm-hmm. So for him to do that, that was stupid. He had no respect for LeBron James' game. Kyrie, him dug deep. KD, Steph, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they are not going to lose in 4 games. They are not going to lose a 7-game series in these playoffs the next year. I'm going to tell you why. It literally, it would, and this is why I said that stuff like this is good for the NBA, because it will be a coaching masterpiece to see them lose in a series. It will have to be a coaching masterpiece. Do you understand transition offense? Do you realize that Steph Curry gets the ball, he passes to like KD. KD's dribbling down the court. He sees Klay in the corner. Klay says, "No, I don't want that shot." He passes it to KD. KD dunks it, or they pass it back out to Steph. Who do you guard? Who is Kyrie? Who is Kyrie going to guard? Huh?
Hey, there's a difference between what we want to happen and it's actually going to happen.
Right.
I'm quoting you. Because Klay Thompson is not going to pass up no shot to pass it to no Kevin Durant. Okay? I am actually very concerned that these guys can play together. Okay? The Steph Curry who jacks, Klay Thompson jacks, Kevin Durant, Jax.
Jax.
They're going to have problems. There
I
are
don't
not
know.
enough shots in the NBA for all of them to be properly satisfied with their game. You think Kevin Durant is going to be
So
satisfied scoring 17 a game? Because if
let
he
me
does
ask you
that,
this.
they're
Hey,
going to be
let me ask.
unbeatable.
No,
if he wants to start.
And on top of that, you know what I mean? I've been saying this since the playoffs, since the finals, all of that. The head case on that team is Klay Thompson.
Yes, he
cannot
is.
stand-
No,
tell you-
no,
He has horrible.
no,
He has horrible.
no,
sportsmanship.
no, that's wrong.
He's nasty, arrogant, and he has the audacity to say that him and his old scrub daddy, his daddy who wasn't nothing on the Lakers.
Hold on.
Come on,
His
man.
dad is a scrub. You know it. He's a scrub, and you know it. He had the audacity to say that LeBron James.
Rookie of the year, scrub.
LeBron James feels too entitled. Yeah, because he grew up in the projects. Well, where was your son? Growing up somewhere in the suburbs where he has no identity. He doesn't know whether he's black or he's white. And then on top of that, maybe LeBron got his feelings hurt. Whose feelings was hurt when you walked off that court? You ain't shake hands because you grew up so privileged and so entitled with the silver spoon in your mouth. Your daddy, who was a role player for the Lakers, probably had you in basketball camps your whole life, learning fundamentals, learning how to shoot. Because the shot you got, you ain't learned from him. Because I ain't seen not a highlight with you popping mad threes like you like
bum. No,
like
Michael Thompson no bum.
so
He averaged 14. He averaged 14 and like 7 for his career. Shot 50%. Not a bum.
Okay. Is he in the Hall of Fame? No.
No, he's not a bum though.
How many times did he make the All-Star team?
That squad.
He never made it to the All-Star team.
He would be getting Harrison Barnes cash if he was playing today.
Exactly. And I got to cut you off, Rad, because
Klay Thompson is not a head case though. I don't know where you got
Byron, what professional athlete is not a head case? I got a Michael Jordan painting on my wall. That's like the epitome of arrogance. Gonna sit there and start counting backwards from 40 in the first quarter.
How many Klay Thompson posters you got on your wall?
I got none, but that's because I want Klay Thompson like that.
I'm tearing them down. You better not.
But let's be completely real about this. Klay Thompson, when he was saying his team was better than the Lakers, that was all playing with his.
That was Klay.
But you can't look at their childhood and how they raised and say that's why they're arrogant now. They're professional athletes. They make millions of dollars. They walk outside, 20 women walk up to them. I'd be arrogant too. And let's not forget, in 2015, when the Warriors was up 3-2, getting ready to go back to Bron's house, Bron went to the media, I'm the best player in the world. So you can't pick and choose who's arrogant. They are arrogant. When Steph Curry hit the three and do the shimmy, that's arrogant as fuck. But it's hilarious.
I want to respond to the substance of what was brought up, and people saying that they're concerned that there's not enough shots to go around.
They can't play together, Q.
I think they can play together. I think people don't want them to be able to play together, but I think they'll definitely be able to play together. Simply due to the fact like this. Just break it down real quick. So you have Steph Curry, right? Steph Curry is not selfish. People have this thing, oh, he's selfish. He's not selfish at all. He's probably the most unselfish point guard besides Chris Paul in the NBA. And the reason why that is because if you had a guy who could shoot from anywhere and get hot, then you're probably going to take a couple dumb shots. Steve Kerr understands this. This is part of their offense. They run a hybrid of the triangle.
Yep.
And that is shoot if I pass wherever the person is open. Klay Thompson is he's like a lawnmower, man. You got to give him a couple rips a couple times until it starts up. And that's what his offense is. He has to miss a couple shots, and then he'll get going. Now, here's the thing. When Klay Thompson is cold, guess who you have to pass to now? Because, people don't understand. Harrison Barnes, when he was on the Warriors, I know y'all seen these reports talking about how he has confidence issues and how he was never really a part of the locker room. You have Klay and you have Steph coming to KD saying, look, I don't care who wins the MVP. I don't care who gets the shoe deals. I don't care who gets the headlines. I don't care who gets the limelight. This is about winning championships.
Harry better not bring up no shoes. I hope you don't do that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and And if they stick true to that, which I really do think, because Klay Thompson, from what I understand, people say Klay Thompson is a low-key guy. He's not a flashy guy. He's not a guy who likes to floss on people. You know, he's not like the guy who likes to stunt. And for him to say that I'm willing to play with KD, like he's literally walking around the USA basketball camps worshiping at KD's feet. Like, I can't believe we got this guy. And this is why I want to tie that in, Pete. Mike, because them playing together, Draymond, Klay, and KD playing together in USA basketball, that's going to ease that transition. So they're going to learn how to play together.
It's going to be a breeze.
It's going to be a breeze. People think that this is going to be a hard transition. Oh, man. Harrison Barnes was a liability.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Bogut, you could not put him at the free throw line. There are things that you can't do. Now that you have Zaza Pachulia, who's really not that much of a downgrade, he might be an upgrade because he can actually shoot free throws, and you can actually have him in crunch time. He can actually shoot a little 10-footer or 15.
And he's not injury prone.
But you lose a little bit with rim protecting. But but you get JaVale McGee, maybe he can make the roster.
Oh God, man, he'll make your Shaqtin' All-Star wrist, man. Honestly, but the thing is though, is that this team, I think this team is gonna work. It's not gonna be like 78 and it's not gonna be any of that. They're probably going to win 64, 65 games, and that is because they're gonna have a hat. And there's going to be pieces of paper with names on it. And then they're going to draw from that hat, and whoever picks out of that hat has to be the person to play tonight. Because Steph and Klay are sitting out a bunch of nights. KD and Steph are sitting out a bunch of nights. KD and Klay are sitting out a bunch of nights. Who wants to play tonight? Because we're going to win this championship regardless. As long as that chemistry's working, as long as everyone's healthy.
I don't think everything...
What's the last team?
Go ahead, Sid.
What's the last team that's won like that, without any structure, without knowing who to follow? Teams need to be led, okay? Teams are like armies. Without a pure leader, without knowing who to follow, the rest of the team will collapse, because no matter how good those 3 or 4 guys will be, you need everybody to perform. Everybody needs to know their role. What's Draymond's role going to be on that team?
Yeah.
Do you need Draymond if you have Kevin Durant? And how is he going to feel?
Yes.
How's he going to feel?
I think you need Draymond.
Because it's a lot like Miami. When LeBron went down to Miami, people were like, is it Wade's team? Is it LeBron's team?
Hey, remember,
and you saw like 10, 20 games, they kind of struggled trying to figure out.
Yes, they did.
I'm not going to go as far as Sid or with, I'm kind of between Q and between Sid. And I predict San Antonio will have the 1 seed in the Western Conference.
I just
in the
don't
West
think
in a second.
so.
I don't think
Agreed.
I think Golden State will win 57, 58 games. That's my prediction. I still think it's going to take time. Now, yes, I do believe Golden State. I believe Golden State will win the championship, which is where Sid and I will be.
But here's the thing.
But I think it will take time. I do, because we look at the Olympics. Yeah, KD, Draymond, they're playing great. That's the Olympics.
Yeah, but the thing is though, that's about chemistry, and that's the best place to do it at. People like the best place to build chemistry is in no pressure settings, because then you'll trust each other when there are pressure. You know what I'm saying? When there is pressure.
I've got a question for everybody, and I'm gonna go, and I've got through the first 30 games, I got Golden State sitting somewhere like 18 and 12, around that. I think second half they're gonna roll. Just like Miami, because remember, and Sid knows this. Remember, Miami was like 11 and 10 to start the season.
Yeah.
And you had LeBron bumping Spo after they lost to Dallas. But
here's the thing.
I don't know if they'll be 11 and 10 through 21 games. Maybe what?
Yeah, there's always room for
12 and 9. I think there's gonna be an adjustment.
Here's the thing: is that it's different.
Adjustment. They're not going to come out of the gate blowing people out. There's going to be an adjustment, maybe 20, 30 games. But I think by year's end, we're going to find out who they are. More importantly, I said this to Matt and I said this to Byron last year during the playoffs of why I thought Cleveland would win the chip this coming season. I didn't think they were going to win last season, but they had to swallow that defeat. When you go to the finals and you win, it's hard for teams to come back with that same fire. I remember Jordan once said, he here we are going for a three-peat, and we were fighting something that we couldn't see. It's like we couldn't push ourselves to that same level. We tried to turn it on, and we couldn't. And I think Golden State losing is a blessing in disguise for them, because now they're like, man, we ran through the regular season, we dominated, and we still lost.
It was the biggest. It was the biggest choke job in the history of the league.
Well, yeah.
And let me preface this.
Steph has to look in the mirror and say, what do I do better? Clay has to look in the mirror, and I think
pass
the recipe for them to come together, but it's going to take some time.
Hey, and Mike and Byron, you know this. Who's, like, as a fan, who's my favorite player in the league? Steph Curry. I'll attack him all day long for some of the stuff he did.
Oh yeah,
he did. He got roughed up. He absolutely
was terrible.
He absolutely. But even on offense, he absolutely got roughed up on when he was running without the ball in OKC. But the things I can't give him a pass for, he tries to throw a behind the back pass. It goes out of bounds. It's the bullshit like that. Yeah. That's where I gotta say, like, what are you doing?
And that's where he's got to go back to basics. He's got to get in that gym and bulk up.
Stop the bullshit.
Yeah, because he got exposed in that OKC series.
But
they were him up, and then Cleveland did that in the finals with J.R. Smith and Shumpert bumping him before screens.
This is why I said OKC exploited Steph.
They did.
If you watch when
they exposed how to beat Golden State.
Not only defensively but offensively too, with the how they defended the pick and roll.
Man, check this out. Here's what I'm trying to say. There are people. I think people are drawing false parallels between that Miami team and this new team. The team that Sid was talking about was the last team without a really defined leadership. Going in, the Boston Celtics, when they got Ray Allen, KG, and Paul Pierce, people were saying, "How is it going to work?" People act like that didn't happen. People were questioning this the same way. People were asking.
Was it KG? Was it Paul
KG's
Pierce?
an alpha male. Paul Pierce is an alpha male. Ray Allen needs to be a ball. Yeah. He's a spot up shooter, and he can take over too. So whose team is this? Is this KG's team? Is this Paul Pierce's team?
But that's the most important thing. They came together and they said, you know what? I want to win.
Exactly. So what did go?
And that's all that mattered. And once they got past that, it was no whose team is it. It's our team.
You know what I think? What made Boston work though? I think they made it known it was Paul's team, but let me take. It was KD. It was KG's team, but Paul's going to lead us offensively. He's the go-to guy.
Yeah, and the thing is though is that that's exactly how I believe this is going to go. I can understand people saying I want Golden State to lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I get that because every team needs every hero needs a villain, and that's why I love the fact that this move happened. But check this out. This is the point I was trying to make for some minutes now, is the fact that Miami team it's not this Golden State team. Miami had two guys who are better with the ball in their hands at that time. You had three guys who were the guy. Mm-hmm. LeBron James had not morphed into this, Magic Johnson and, Dr. J, hybrid yet. He hadn't morphed into this amazing passer yet. He was still almost a shooting guard in some respects. But the thing is that he bulked up when he got to Miami. So the thing is that you also have Dwayne Wade, who's the guy. He needs the ball in his hand. And that's why I don't think Chicago is going to work at all, because you have three guys who need the ball. But the thing is, this Golden State team is different. All three of those guys came to that meeting and said, look, dude, here's what we're going to do to make this work. If I have to shave, 4 or 5 shots and give those to you, then yeah. So guess what? Bogus touches, Barnes touches, and probably 3 or 5 touches from Clay are going to KD now. And here's the thing. I don't think KD wants to go in being that guy. I don't think he wants to go in being that guy. I think he wants to go in being a part of a great team.
Be a guy who averaged 21, 22 points a game.
Dude, I think we're going to look back, because it's not confirmed that he's going to be there for the rest of his career yet. But I think we're going to look back at this stint. I think he's going to be there for at least 2, 3 years. But I think we're going to look back at this stint and say, that was such a great team to watch play. And then we're going to remember them by saying, the Golden State Warriors, KD, Steph, Clay, it's not going to be, man, KD really carried that team. Think about how many times you said, think about how many guys have carried teams but haven't had rings.
Yeah.
Think about that. We say that so much. Man, he carried that.
Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson.
Karl Malone.
You know, like Carmelo, like they carried that team.
Clyde Drexler before he came to the Rockets.
And there was nothing there for them to do. So when I see, OKC, when I see Golden State, I think it's good for the league, man. I think it's really good for the league. But I think we got way off topic because we were talking about standings and we didn't really get into that. Other than that,
hey, we'll jump back. We'll still keep this in the East now, and then we'll go to the West. But like I know what you said. We've talked about Atlanta. We've talked about Indiana. I want to go to Detroit because I know you've said it on. Dead End Sports. Watching your guys' podcast and all that. I really like Detroit. That's the team I look at. I think Detroit goes as high as number 2. I think they finish anywhere from 2 to 5, but I could see number 2. I don't think they had to make a lot of changes because they are so young. Drummond's going to take another step. Reggie Jackson's going to continue to improve. KCP is an outstanding shooting guard. So Tobias Harris is going to continue to improve. And if you look, who gave Cleveland the most trouble in the playoffs? Every game against Detroit was a battle.
They just couldn't close.
Yeah, they just couldn't close. They've got experience now. So that's why I really like Detroit as number 2. And Stan Van Gundy, Gundy's a hell of a fucking coach.
Yeah, he's really underrated, and
he is.
Nobody ever gives him his credit. But the thing is, this team is gonna be. I think this team's gonna finish 5 or 6. It's gonna be It's gonna be fun to watch them. I like Ish Smith as the backup point guard. I do like that.
Yeah. And Boban's going to help them.
Boban's going to be a rim protector off the bench. I definitely enjoy seeing him play for San Antonio. But a guy who I'm looking at to take that next step that people are going to be surprised by it, but they shouldn't be, I think Stanley Johnson. Johnson, he's going to be
Kawhi Leonard. Okay, Kawhi Leonard 2.0.
He's going to be a second-year player, but the thing is, though, I think Stanley is. I really hate to say, I really think Stanley could be a Paul George type. I really do think he could be that guy. And looking at that team is the fact that you have Ellenson, who's going to be a rookie. He's college ready. He's going to be able. He's pro ready. He's going to be able to come in and get you probably like 10 rebounds and whatnot.
Yeah, stretch the floor with his shooting.
Yeah, and it's gonna be good to get Tobias Harris in off season because he looked a little awkward last season playing with them just because of the trade. But when he gets to the roster, when he gets to camp, the roster's gonna make much more sense because they're gonna have chemistry and they're gonna understand how to play. Because Tobias really, think about this, they were giving them the most problems, and Tobias had literally just came there for a month prior, so they threw him into the fire and said, "Yo, play against LeBron James." Yeah. And they could have won like 3 of those games so easily.
Yes.
But they were really young, and I think the fact that they're older now, they get a year under their belt. I think Stan finally gets to get most of what he wanted to do with Tobias. So this year, I think we're going to see a great leap in them, 5 or 6 seed.
And with the way the rule changes are, I guess that'll help maybe Andre Drummond a little bit. But I think Andre Drummond, and Q, you play basketball, Mike. We all play. Andre Drummond does not shoot a bad ball. His form is not horrible. Like, he has the potential to be a guy who can hit 65% of his free throws.
Yeah, he can very well be like Tim Duncan was early in his career when Tim Duncan struggled with free throws and it got to the point where he no longer was a liability at the end of his career. I think Drummond can get that. It's just he's got to put the time in the gym and get the confidence.
Yeah. I think these guys do put the time in. They absolutely do, but they're so in their own heads.
That's what I'm saying. He's got to get that confidence, that mental block to where it's like, I'm not even thinking about it. Because we've seen people get over it like Tim Duncan, and we've seen people never recover from it, like Nick Anderson. He was
Yeah.
never the same after those free
Oh,
throws.
man. Hey, that's not really true.
Nah, he was not the same after those free
I'll say
throws.
this. Remember the second half of the 97-98 season. Nick Anderson went on a fucking tear.
Yeah, he went on a little tear.
He caught a glimpse of it back. He did.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was, man. It was a glimpse. He never returned to that form because he was a quality defender before that.
Yeah, that did ruin. I will say that did hurt him.
Like, it hurt his overall game because he was so worried about that. And I see that happening to Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan right now. Like, look, you do so many great things. Don't let missing free throws stop you from doing other stuff. It's like, I've never been the best shooter on the court. But if I'm not scoring, I got to defend. I got to rebound. And you still got to compete. And I think that's what happens to these guys with the hack-a-shack rule. They start getting fouled, and it is a strategy because it gets in their head. It takes them out of their sync of doing all the things they do to make the team good. And now they're just so worried about, okay, I got to hit these free throws. And it's like, that's a bad approach.
Dude, it's like, no, it's all about confidence. And I'm not sure I agree with the rule change. I think it can only make the game better, but I do like I don't like the fact that people don't have a strategy anymore, because I think this is like forcing now us to move into the new era of basketball, and I'm not sure I like that. And I'm all for small ball. I do think small ball is being over exaggerated. I still think that you need big men, and Cleveland will show you that big men do matter in the NBA. So I just don't know if I agree with the fact that they're trying to make everything more fluent and everything about skill now. When back in the day, sometimes you just need a little brute force. Sometimes you just need, big guys to go into the paint.
What I think they should have done, and I've mentioned it about a month ago when we talked about the rule changes. Back in the day, they had the 3 to make 2 rule. You got 3 shots to make 2. So I think if you do that, it kind of goes away from fouling guys. So I think that's what they should have done, but that's just me. But I want to get to this, and then we'll get to Amare Stoudamire and wrap this thing up. But I want to talk about. Actually, I got a couple things. We're going to talk about Jimmy, but the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
ESPN has them 9th, and I think all the 3 of us here that are still on here, I think we all agree that's a playoff team if healthy. Obviously, we're going to go by them being healthy. We all agree. And I also want to mention, because I don't think we've talked about Derrick Rose saying they are the second super team. Go ahead, Mike.
I love Derrick, but I'm going to give him a no on that one. I'm going to sell that they're the second super team, but I will buy that they're a playoff team. They're not a super team. Maybe if this deal was made 4 years ago, I could be like, man, Melo and Rose on the same team, and Noah and all these other pieces. Okay, maybe. No, they're not a super team. They are a playoff team, though. They're gonna be competitive and they're gonna be tough. Their 1 through 5 is formidable. I will give them that, but they're not in Golden State or Cleveland's. They're not even the same breath as those teams.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Q.
New York, man. It's a no for me, dog. I'm doing my Randy Jackson impression.
Are they a playoff? Are they a playoff team? If healthy.
8th seed, 7th seed, maybe. If healthy, because that means we're having a healthy Derrick Rose, then they can reach as high as 4. I mean, honestly, if it's a healthy Derrick Rose. The thing is, though, is which version of healthy Derrick Rose are we getting? Are we getting the Derrick Rose who, is half explosive as he used to be, or are we getting fully? Are we getting,
I think if you get second half of last year Derrick Rose, this last season, I think that's a good Derrick. I think it's not what he was before he got hurt, but I think if you can get the second half Derrick Rose, he was averaging 19, 20.
The thing is,
I think that'd be good for the Knicks.
It's so frustrating because seeing Derrick in the state that he is now,
from where he
was, that last half, it's still not that, it's not that pop. You know what I'm saying? Like you remember when I think it was Dang like he shot a three and then it bounced off the backboard and then Rose just came right up on, I think it was on Joel Anthony. Like that's just it's that.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because if you watch Rose, and I said this last year, this past season, his explosiveness is still there off the dribble, off the step.
Yeah,
it's on the bounce that he has his problems. And I know Vince Carter said this the other day, or it was at Orlando Summer League. He was in. They asked him, and he said, "It's not jumping. It's not making the dunk. It's the landing." That's what's going on with Rose. It's the landing. He's. I don't want to say he's scared. I'm not going to go there.
No, he's not scared. He's just cognizant of himself. He knows himself. Like not a lot of players. Like not everyone is going to be Russell Westbrook. That's why I say Russell Westbrook. He has a gift and a curse. Yeah. He is reckless with no fear. And sometimes that will drive a coach crazy because he has no conscience.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose has a conscience when he goes up now. He used to be like Russell. And the thing is, what I'm saying is that it's sad to see him in the state that he is, because being like the last half of the season for Chicago, you know that Derrick Rose is better than the Reggie Jacksons. He's better than the George Hills. He's better than the Jeff Teagues. But he's still not back into that CP3 Kyrie, what's his name? I'm sorry, John Wall. He's not in that tier again yet, and I just want him to get back so bad. But here's the thing: this season could spell disaster because, and I don't want to go off topic, but this has to do with it. The season could be disastrous because he's going through a trial coming up in October, right before the season's about to start.
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
And that could be really, really, really distracting for the team. It could be distracting for him. Because think about this, man. As an Eagles fan, every offseason we have a distraction. Whether it's Riley Cooper feels like he's in Django or something, and you got, they give the Mike Vick, everything, and everyone wants to make
back in the day.
Yeah, like everything was a distraction. Every single season we have a distraction. In this season we got a rookie who's smacking Cabana boys in Vegas. So it's like every year we can never just go through just a clean offseason. And Derrick Rose has been the same way. Think about it. For the past
5-6 years.
For the past 4 or 5, Derrick, do you like being here in Chicago? Yeah, I do. Then like the next season, Derrick Rose is having knee pains during the USA FIBA. Derrick, are you doing good? Yeah, I'm doing fine. Next offseason,
rape allegations. Then he had
next offseason. He's like, I can't wait for free agency. Then everyone's like, do you even like being here in Chicago? And they just keep asking him all this stuff.
And then he gets hit in the eye in practice.
And now he's going into a season right before the season. He's going to have to keep flying back and forth from LA to New York. People are going to be hounding him about how did the procedures go. Derrick, are you innocent? Derrick, are you doing this? And he's going to be like, I just came here to play basketball. Everything looked good, but now that you have this trial and already the pre-existing questions about can these ball-dominant guys play together, is this going to hurt Porzingis' development?
Yeah, Q, good point. I wanted to jump there. Do you, and I'm going to go to you, Mike, as well. Do you guys think that this hurts Kristaps Porzingis?
Absolutely.
I think it can hurt him in the sense of now he's got all of these distractions around him and all these other guys he has to share the ball with. But on the flip side of it, it can be a blessing because it can let him kind of either fly under the radar or he can take that mantle. If he comes out and balls like he was doing last year, because you remember, they were chanting his name in Madison Square Garden to the point where you kind of forgot Melo was on the team.
It was Kristaps Porzingis' team.
And it's just like Q said, it could be a gift or a curse. Rose can play like Kobe did that year. He was flying back and forth to Denver, where it's like, I'm gonna let my lawyer deal with that and just come and like fight the trial on the court, just ball it out because
the basketball court will be Derrick Rose's sanctuary.
Right.
So let me say this about Porzingis, because I went to the last time the Knicks came to the Bulls. I went to the game. And I have to say, that dude Porzingis is a monster.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
This dude has got it all. And I actually, and maybe I'm in the minority, you got to let this guy be the go-to guy next year. Let Carmelo and Rose play second fiddle. It's got to be Porzingis' team next year, offensively.
I mean, he's the point guard, so his job, number one, Jeff Hornacek has to be on the same page with Rose, and it's like, look, you got to create offense for these guys. And part of Rose's game is penetrating. He's got to have that explosive off the dribble to where he can get to the cup and he can feed Porzingis. He can feed Melo off the move. He can feed Noah. And I think he can still do that. But the thing is, he's got to really say to himself, okay, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get Porzingis off. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get Melo off and then I'm going to put my spots. He can't be like Russ and just be like, shit, I'm going to get my own. Y'all not playing.
Absolutely. Because I'm not worried about him with Joe, because we know him and Joe can play together. And Courtney Lee is not a guy who needs the ball. Give Courtney Lee the open three. Go ahead, Q. Go ahead.
But check this out. Here's the thing. My biggest fear, man, is that, and I really hate to say it because we might be bordering upon this territory soon. My biggest fear is that Brandon Jennings will overtake Derrick Rose in the starting lineup come probably like midway through the season. I can just see it because Brandon Jennings, he can ball. He's coming off an injury too, but the Achilles and everything. And here's why I say that is because he might be in like a Patrick Beverley type of situation. You know, like they brought in him for Lynn, you know. They signed Jeremy Lin to Houston, and then everyone was like, "Oh, Lin's going to be great for us, right?" And then he comes in, and he's not terrible, but he's not great. So now you got this dude behind him named Patrick Beverley, who looks better, fits better with Harden, can actually defend.
Yeah,
he's a better fit. My fear is that Brandon Jennings will look better with that team than Derrick Rose will, because Brandon Jennings, as far as I'm concerned, he can do basically everything this Derrick Rose can do. And Brandon Jennings, on his best day, is not the player Derrick Rose is now, but it's not that far apart. It's really not that far apart, just the fact that Derrick Rose has been so horrible. So my fear is that we're going to start hearing, like, here's the thing, because they brought him in on a one-year deal, and he's going to be coming off the bench. So you see him. What if the people do all it takes for you to lose your starting job in New York is for a chance to start up? Brandon. Like people are gonna start saying that.
What you could do though is you may see some like hybrid lineups of Jennings and Rose on the court at the same time.
Yeah, you could. But Carmelo almost lost that team to Jeremy Lin, dude. Let's not forget this, dude.
That's true.
Well,
he almost lost that team to Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
New York is so starved for a competitive team right now. Because you look at the four major sports in New York, they're all struggling. The Giants haven't made the playoffs in a minute. Let's not talk about the Yankees.
The Mets did get to the World Series.
Yeah, the Mets did get to the World Series, but you look at the major teams in New York. When you think of New York, you think of the Yankees.
They really haven't won shit.
The Giants, you think of the Knicks.
Yeah,
and
they haven't won shit.
Teams are struggling.
Yeah, they haven't won shit.
Those New York fans are starving for that. But we said this early in the summer. This Knicks team is the NBA version of the Expendables. It's all guys, with the exception of Porzingis and Melo, that most teams really don't want. Rose, Brandon Jennings, Noah, Courtney Lee, they've kind of been like second-tier, third-tier guys. They're like B-squad guys that people are like, I would have took them a couple years ago, but now these guys all have something to prove. And, again, it could be a colossal failure or a monumental success. If they put all that BS aside and, like, look, nobody wants us, it's us against the world, they can get a top 4 seed. But if they just come out there and it's like, man, I'm playing for my next contract, or, they get caught up in whose team is it, and this team is going to flop.
Yeah, Mike, and that's on Phil Jackson, because I believe Phil Jackson is a terrible GM. I think he's just bad at his job, man. I don't think people are there yet all across the NBA spectrum, but New York fans, half of the fan base is there already that Phil Jackson is a horrible GM. I don't think he's horrible. I just think he's bad. I think this is another New York dude. New York fans, much like Eagles fans, they are battered and they are tired, and they just need some retribution. And for them to always put a Band-Aid on a problem that needs to heal, it's never gonna work out until you give them time. Like here's the thing, Matt, is that New York fans, they've never gotten time to actually see a team be built. They've always been trying to be like LA. They've always trying to be like Boston. They needed to do, and they need to do this starting next year if this thing doesn't work, because I believe they get their picks back starting this next year. They need to just tank if this doesn't work. They need to do a Philly rebuild. This is the only way they're going to get talent, man. They need to do a Philly rebuild.
Basically get rid of everybody but Porzingis.
They need to get rid of everybody but Porzingis, sign a couple veterans, and then let Porzingis develop, and then tank for the next 2 years. Because, like I said, the next draft.
I wouldn't even go Philadelphia. Do what Dallas did when they drafted Dirk.
Yeah, and they have to go the route of trying to heal the wound instead of just they keep trying to scratch at it. You know what I'm saying? You know how when you get a scab and you just keep scratching at it instead of just letting it heal. New York, since about, I believe, 99, since that championship team that was still one of the most, not championship team, but a championship contending team, for them to make it to that championship, they thought that was the formula. Okay, let's just sign a bunch of guys and then hope it works out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need to go through the draft. Sometimes you need to build organically, and they need to find a way for this team to build into something. They can't keep signing a bunch of mid-level talent guys. They can't keep signing a bunch of dudes at the end of their career. Like the Team Mac experiment didn't work, you know. And I know that was like 8 years ago, but dude, you gotta understand, New York is thirsty for a contender. They are thirsty for that. And guess what happened? The last time they were really great for many years. They had an amazing coach in Pat Riley. They had a bunch of Rough Riders, and they had a superstar.
And they didn't win anything.
Yeah, and that at least came through the draft, dude.
Mm-hmm.
They found fucking, what's his name? The point guard.
Oh, Greg Anthony?
No, the point guard. The fade. What is his name? The New York Knicks. Back in the 90s, Pat Ewing's team.
I know they had Derek Harper, they had Greg Anthony, they had John Starks.
John Starks, that's what I'm talking about. So they found John Starks in the back of a grocery store, that happened. And then they got Ewing through the draft. They have Porzingis now. Patrick didn't morph into Patrick because they signed a whole bunch of weird pieces to fit around him. Dude, they needed to let Melo walk. That would have been the best thing for that city. And instead, they kept him, man. I just don't I don't get it. Like I still don't understand that.
Hold on, Mike. I want to wrap this up soon because I know people got things to do. It's Saturday, but I want to go to this. I know this wasn't part of it, but I want to go. We've talked about the East, the West. I want to give. Let's just do a little prediction here. And let's not. We don't have to go who's going to win the championship. But let's go for each conference. Let's go. Who do we think's going to be meet in the East Final and the West Final, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike. Who's in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Cavaliers.
But who else? Cavaliers versus who?
Doesn't matter.
Give me somebody, Mike. Give me somebody, Mike. The people want to know.
Man, honestly, that's a wild card, man. It could be Toronto again. It could be Chicago. It could be Boston. I have no idea, but honestly, this is my prediction. Golden State versus Cleveland for the finals.
Fair enough.
No other matchup really matters.
Yeah.
I mean, the West, the only thing that could make me excited would be a San Antonio Warriors conference finals. That would be it.
Yeah.
And even that doesn't even have the luster that it would have had this year. So I got to go with Warriors and Cavaliers in the finals again.
Everybody's pick. Yeah, I don't think we got to go find it because that's what everybody's going to have. Q, conference finals matchups for each conference.
Give me Golden State, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Golden State versus the Utah Jazz.
Okay, I like it. What
And
about the
I'm
East?
gonna say Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Washington Wizards. I'm gonna say
Nice.
that. I'm gonna say the Wizards.
Nice.
They were close.
Yeah.
They just had an injury with John Wall, and Al Horford literally saved their entire season.
Bradley Beal has to stay healthy though.
I just want to see Kyrie versus John Wall in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how that would be fun.
I'm gonna go out on a little, obviously Golden State, but I'm gonna go Golden State versus OKC again. I don't know why. I just think OKC, they're gonna keep Westbrook.
Barring a trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think if they stay pat, I think we're going to see Golden State OKC again. I don't know why. I just have that feeling. In the East, obviously Cleveland. There's so many ways who they could play in the East. But I'm going to pick that they're going to be healthy. And I know I said second round at best, but I'm going Cleveland versus the Chicago Bulls. Chicago is healthy come playoff time. They get through and they match up. I'm not going to go anywhere beyond that, but I think that's a good place to wrap this up. So we got next week. I know Pete will be back next week, so he'll be taking over back again. He had some problems with his internet, so I had to run it. So I hope I did a good job for all of you out there. You know, it's not usually what I do, but until next time, we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.